What makes a better flute player? That question is the central question we ask ourselves every time we decide what to do in the next flute cast, or what to put in the Native Flute Handbook, or especially what we consider when we're planning out the next workshop. We look to answer that question with techniques and content and advice and exercises to help people become a better flute player. But what are the things that we think make a better flute player? This video, we're going to look at those things. We're going to tell you what we think helps us improve, helps us connect to our music, helps us to be more expressive and to have more fun with this instrument. We'll tell you what those are, and we'll also look at the upcoming workshops we have over the next year and a half, all through 2020 and into 2021, and which workshops meld with each of those, and what are the features of those. So we'll tell you what we think makes a better flute player, and we'll introduce you to our workshop. First of all, the most important thing you can do with this instrument is to play it. Nothing is going to shortcut or take the place of playing this instrument. There's no teacher that is going to tell you the magic trick. There is no magic bullet. It is playing this instrument, and you will get better at it. You will learn with your own feedback mechanism, hearing yourself playing, you will learn how to play this instrument. That is the first and most important advice. And the second thing is listening. This is the instrument that we are playing, but this, the ear, is the actual instrument that we are developing. The more clearly you can hear yourself, the more clearly you can hear this instrument's sound as it goes out to the people that you connect with, that will improve you tremendously. You cannot become a better flute player without developing your ear and deeper listening to the quality and tone of your sound and the subtleties that this instrument produces as you play it and as you do things with your fingers and your breath. Pitch matching this sound to another pitch sound out there, listening to rhythm, listening to the people that you're playing with, matching the pitch of another flute, being in tune with the guitar. These deep listening exercises are extremely valuable. You can go to your flute circle and simply, if you're doing something with the flute circle, or even if it's somebody else's exercise, actually, hey, let's close our eyes. The quality of the music dramatically improves when people just close their eyes. Or improve your listening by doing this behind your ears. Or stand in front of a wall and hear the reflected sound of the flute against the wall and coming back at your ears. Extremely valuable. And there's a lot of listening to, playing back to back in a duet where you can't see the other person. Just close your eyes when you're playing with another person. Deepen the sound and really emphasize the ears. This instrument is your tool. Actually, most flute players have lots of flutes. They have lots of tools. We're very blessed compared to a lot of classical musicians who have just one or a very few instruments. We tend to have lots of these instruments because of their different qualities, because of their different pitch ranges. Knowing how to choose your tool, becoming experienced with picking out the best flute for you that works with your situation, with your breath, and the tools that you can use in various situations. If I'm performing on stage versus if I'm playing in a meditation setting versus I'm in a recording session or I'm playing with a jazz band or whatever it is, those may be different tools. Also, knowing your tool inside and out, and I do mean inside and out, knowing how the flute works, inside, taking off the bird, understanding how the structure of the flute works. If you're nervous about this, do it at your flute circle. Do it at a workshop. Do it in the presence of a more experienced person, maybe a teacher or just a more experienced flute player, and they will help you get it back together if you're nervous the first time you take it apart. Terribly important to know how it works and how to maintain it. Building your toolbox of techniques, of ornaments, effects, styles. This is critical to expanding the range of what you can do with this instrument, expanding the range of how you can express yourself in various situations. The center of what we have to work with comes from this toolbox of techniques and ornaments and styles. And this is a central part of all of the Flutecast series, and it's also something that we very heavily emphasize at workshops. Especially a workshop that is a personal retreat like Flute Harvest. Flute Harvest is a workshop we do in California in October with Kalani, and it is a flute player's retreat. We keep it small, we keep it to 15 participants so we can give individualized attention and really focus especially on developing a toolbox of ornaments and effects and scales and styles. And because it's small, we've developed over the last couple of years this concept of individual playing exercises. Every day, each participant gets an exercise suited to exactly where they're at and exactly what we think is the next best thing, next best ornament, style, scale, effect that they can work on each day to develop their flute playing to the max, to the best effect for the time. That's called woodshedding. It's called practicing something for a period of time and then having the opportunity to use that in a setting. And we can do that. We can do that with the small group. It works very well. And what we actually do now is every person gets a device with the individual playing exercises as a video with the backing track if it's appropriate. Sometimes you're playing over a backing track. Sometimes you're playing to a new rhythm. Sometimes you're playing in a new scale and you can have a backing track that works with that scale. So that's the idea of Flute Harvest in October. Everybody's been to plays and performances that have a script, that have a very specific script that the actors follow. And compare it now to an experience of going to improv theater, the comedy improv, or improvisational theater, where what's the difference? Everyone is on the edge of their seat, including the performers. It is improvisation is where it's at. That's what we believe. That is the home of this instrument. That is the history of this instrument from many points of view and perspectives. It's perfectly fine to play finite music. That is what we call written music. We call it finite music as opposed to improvisation, which is kind of infinite. The possibilities are infinite. So it's perfectly okay to play off sheet music and certainly learn things like Amazing Grace and taps and learn them very, very well so you don't even have to think about them. And then they become like infinite music, because then if you don't worry about the notes, if you're not sitting there and reading the music, anxious concentration, take that out of your mind, then you can listen to the sound that you're creating and maximize that. Maximize the potential of the quality of your sound through the notes that you're playing. If you're playing improv, if you're playing an improvisation, playing from the heart, it doesn't matter what notes you play, because every note in this primary scale is going to work. Every note is going to be consonant with every other note. That's one of the magic things about this instrument. It allows you to improv and not worry about the notes. Worry is what takes away from the music. Worry separates us from the music. So, do you have a script or not? You decide. But we really encourage people to explore and be free playing from the heart. And one of the greatest things about playing this instrument, playing music in general, is connecting with other people. Music was central, we believe, early on in the development of humanity, before there was language. This is Homo sapien development. We believe that they used music to build a more cohesive group, to keep the group together, to build intergroup bonds. And that's what this instrument does today. In a commercial setting, we have one to many, many, many people. But in a less commercial setting, in a flute circle, a community music gathering, right, this becomes a personal interaction where we can do a duet, explore duets. Duets are very cool with another flute player. This is one of the things we do at workshops, especially for the workshop we do in September in Eastern Pennsylvania, Flute Haven. We begin with a lot of duet work, doing very simple forms that allow two people to always play together and always sound good together with very simple back and forth forms. Solo over drone, solo over repeated pattern, very simple things, and we do a lot of that. Play, 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 and get people playing in duets all the time. Playing with others, playing with other instruments like guitars, pianos, percussion, any melodic or percussive accompaniment instrument, that's a whole lot of fun. This is where, in Flute Haven in particular, we really focus on playing with other instruments because we have a staff, a large staff. We have a full-time keyboardist, Ron Volkman, Ron Kravitz, full-time percussionist, Lynn Miller, vocalist, but she does strings, guitars. She facilitates from that instrument. Of course, all of these people are flute players, but their primary instruments are keyboard, percussion, and guitar and vocals. And throughout the week at Flute Haven, people are constantly playing duets, trios, quartets with these instruments. You might feel like, whoa, I'm going to play with the guitar. What can I do with this instrument? And of course, the first time you do it and the first time you do any of these things, you feel like, I don't know what to do. But again, there are very simple techniques, very simple guidelines to play with these other instruments. Because this instrument is so consonant, because you can't play a wrong note. These other instruments, you're in the right key with them, that's all you need to do. We make it very simple. Learning how to use your emotion. When you hear a musician who is authentically expressing themselves, expressing their emotions directly through their music, through their instrument, that's real. You know that. You know that that is an authentic performance. They're not trying to be something. They're exposing themselves and singing through their instrument what is in their heart. And everybody who hears this, everybody is connecting with that. Using your emotions, learning how to put your emotions through this instrument is a core thing we do at our workshops. When you feel emotion, learn how to put it into your instrument. If you feel angry, put that into your instrument. If you feel calm, if you feel sad, any emotion that you feel. If you feel nervous, play nervous. Let that come through. Use that energy and convert it into positive energy to make your music better. One thing that has really helped me over the years to inspire me, to keep me engaged with this instrument, is to have a goal or many goals at once. Sometimes it's a performance I'm going to do. Sometimes it's a workshop that we're going to lead. Sometimes it's a recording project or a backing track project or all these cool things that I want to do. Oh, we're doing an update to Flutopedia and we need some recordings, and all these projects inspire me. Having goals, we believe, is really valuable for people. We do it during workshops. We talked about individual playing exercises for Flute Harvest. We have On the Flute Haven side, we actually have little performances along the way for people who are in the workshop. And at the end, we have a performance at an incredible space this year. We're playing a concert at an art center that is just stunningly gorgeous. And we're also making it very easy by having systems where you don't have to stand at the microphone and try to get your flute at the microphone. But we have a setup where your flute will sound very good in these performance settings. Having these goals is extremely valuable to inspire you and keep you focused. Another thing that I've seen again and again with especially professional musicians or facilitators who are facilitating community music events or flute circles or workshops is they bring in to their art every strength that they have, everything they've learned from the outside. If you do Tai Chi, involve Tai Chi or Qigong or poetry or storytelling or anything from the outside, yoga or whatever it is that you are proficient at, incorporate it into your music. I knew somebody who was a martial art expert, and they're doing martial art moves with the participants at a workshop, and it was magic. It was wonderful. Almost nobody in the room had any experience in martial art, but there we were doing it, and we were doing it with our instruments. It was great. Bring the strengths that you have from your lifetime experience into your music and put them to use. The last point I'd like to make, it's nothing that we can tell you, it's literally whatever you think would make you a better flute player. Meditate on that. Think about that. If you find something that we haven't talked about, put it on the list. Put it on your list, and also send us an email. Tell us what you think would be a valuable thing, what you found has been valuable to make you a better flute player. We do hope you can join us at one of the workshops. We have a schedule of all our workshops, by the way, extending into 2021. We are after Flute Haven in September in Pennsylvania, after Flute Harvest in October in California. We go for 2 workshops to Japan. Japan is a special environment. It's a special trip for anybody in the States or in the Western Hemisphere to go across the big pond and join us in Japan. But some people have done it. We have had a few people who've gone over to Japan and joined us. It is a special experience to play with the Japanese flute players who are so enthusiastic about this. We have such a good time at 2 workshops. One is in the Yokohama area at Shonan Village, a beautiful retreat center. And then we go up to Tokyo for the flute circle, the very focused flute circle in the heart of Tokyo near Shinjuku. And that would be wonderful to have you join us in Tokyo or at any of our workshops that we have coming up. Thank you.